Welcome back to Cosy Rosie Crochet. I'm excited to have you here with me today as I continue the yarn fibre series. Today's video is all about cotton yarn from the production through to the finished products. In case we haven't met before, my name is Fiona and I'm the designer behind Cosy Rosie UK. And this channel is your place to find free crochet patterns, pattern tutorials, and it's where I get to share my passion about all things yarn. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and of course that notification bell so you never miss out on another one of my crochet tutorials or yarn videos again. So let's find out a little bit more about cotton. It's those properties of the cotton fibre that can make cotton yarn one of the best choices for most crochet patterns. Although it is an inelastic fibre, it actually works really well for any of those projects that you want to last a really long time because of its durability. In this video today, we are going to go through so much detail about the cotton fibre. This includes the actual properties of cotton yarn itself, where cotton is grown, how cotton is made, the different types of projects that you can make with cotton yarn, and of course, cotton care. It's really important that we know how to care for all of our handmade crochet projects. So let's start by learning more about where cotton is grown. It's actually grown across 6 different continents in the world, and the cotton plant itself is native to kind of tropical and subtropical regions across the world. 3 of the largest producers within the world at the moment are currently India, America and China, and that's in that order. There needs to be a long frost-free season as well as lots of sunshine and a bit of warmth to get that plant to maturity to produce those cotton bolls. The crop of plants is actually planted out during springtime, so between February and March, depending on where in the world it's being planted, and then the harvest of those cotton seeds or the cotton bolls, the white bits inside the seeds, is actually a little bit later between August and autumn. Most cotton is harvested mechanically, and it's either done by a cotton picker that removes the ball of the cotton seed without damaging the plant, or they can use a cotton stripper, and that strips the entire boll from the plant itself. Cotton continues to be picked by hand in some developing countries, including China, that has been reported to still use forced labour. Once all the cotton has been picked and removed from the plant, it's then rolled up into bales. The bales are then transported to a processing plant where they will find a cotton gin. The cotton gin is used to separate the white fluffy part of the cotton seed from the actual plant material. It runs through a series of small teeth to remove all the imperfections and any dirt that might be within the seeds to separate the white fluffy cotton fibre as we know it. Once the cotton's been through the cotton gin, it's then put through a carding machine or a card machine, and that again is another series of teeth, but it creates the longer cotton fibres that can then be spun into a loose rope ready for spinning into yarn. Let's go through a brief history of the cotton industry. Cotton fabrics became increasingly popular throughout the late 1600s across Britain and Europe, mainly for their easy care in comparison to wool as a fabric. People really loved the printed cotton fabrics and the calicos that were being imported from India via the East India Company. By 1721, Britain was using the raw cotton that was being imported from India to create their own cotton fabrics. The textile manufacturing within Britain did lead to an increased wealth in the country and also led to the colonisation of India. The wealth being brought into Britain really fueled and triggered the start of the Industrial Revolution. And it was during the Industrial Revolution that textiles really took hold of the Midlands within England and allowed it to become a textile hub of the world. Within the Industrial Revolution, there were multiple different types of machinery that were produced to increase production of cotton fabrics in England. The success of the British Industrial Revolution relied on low wages, child labour, and poor, sometimes fatal working conditions. The increased demand for raw cotton within Britain had an impact on the amount of cotton that was being grown in America, along with increasing the slave trade. The inexpensive land and the existing people already enslaved in America, combined with the invention of the cotton gin in 1794, meant that by 1930, America was producing the majority of the world's raw cotton. It was hoped that the invention of the cotton gin would actually reduce the need for more slaves to be brought to America, but in fact it had the opposite effect. Because the cotton gin recreated the process of separating the ball of cotton from the seed in up to 600 times quicker than by hand, it meant that cotton production exploded. More cotton could be processed more quickly, so more slaves were brought to America to work the land. You can find more links into the history of cotton and cotton production over in the description box within the article that I've written about cotton properties. So let's talk about these characteristics of cotton yarn, and there are plenty of them. The majority of the properties of cotton yarn relate to the cellular structure of the fibre itself. Because the cellular structure is so strong, it's the perfect fabric to make hard-wearing materials from, such as denim. We all know that those cotton wool balls that we get are incredibly soft, and this is mainly due to the length of the fibre that it creates. The longer the length of the cotton fibre within those white cotton balls, the softer that cotton will turn into. Once it's spun, it becomes softer again, and you can really feel the softness in the majority of cottons available on the market today. Cotton is known for its durability, so the cellular structure of cotton is incredibly strong, and this results in really strong and hard-wearing fabrics as well. Cotton is absorbent. If you've ever wet something that's made with cotton, you'll know that it will absorb water very quickly. It does have a downside, of course. It means that cotton can be incredibly slow at drying. The majority of cotton is incredibly easy to dye. Because it has that high absorption level, it holds onto the colours that are within the dyes and retains them within those cellular structures to hold the dye and create bold, colourful prints. The only type of cotton that struggles to hold dye is something that's called dead cotton. Now, dead cotton is usually where the cotton has been picked too early and the cotton hasn't quite reached maturity, so it just doesn't have that structure to really hold on to that dye. Another great feature or characteristic of cotton yarn is, of course, it cannot conduct electricity. So that means that when you're wearing it, you're unlikely to shock people with that static electricity. And of course, finally, the most well-known characteristic when it comes to cotton and the fabrics that it creates is that it is a breathable fabric. That's because of the spaces between each of the strands of fibre tends to be larger than most other fabrics. That allows for the fabric to be more breathable and feel more lightweight when we're wearing it. There are three main types of cotton fibre. You can relate that to maybe the quality of the cotton fibres that are produced. So Pima cotton is probably considered the finest cotton of the world. It's grown in South America and in some of the southern states of America as well. And it's considered the finest quality because it's even softer than most other cottons because of the longer length fibres within that cotton. Alongside that, Pima cotton is most resistant to tearing and wrinkling. One example I have of a yarn that contains Pima cotton is the Lindy chain from We Crochet or Knit Picks. It is a cotton blend, so this has linen and Pima cotton combined, and only 30% Pima cotton at that. Because Pima cotton is one of the finest cottons in the world, it is of course one of the most expensive. And it's important to recognise that these differences in the cotton fibres are much like the quality of yarn that you might get when it relates to wool. Some are better than others, and of course, like most fibres, you can feel the difference. Another one of the most well-known cotton types is, of course, Egyptian cotton. Much like Pima cotton, it has the same characteristics where it's durable, it has the extra strength and the extra softness. It's just that this cotton is grown in Egypt and actually in the Nile riverbeds, or near the Nile Valley, should I say. Now, 90% of all cotton produced in the world is considered upland cotton. Now, this type of cotton is native to Central America, Mexico, the Caribbean and southern Florida. The cotton has a shorter fibre length than the Pima cotton or Egyptian cotton, and therefore it isn't quite as soft as those two other fibre types. The final type of cotton that I want to mention to you is not necessarily considered different in the fact that the fibre is different, it's just that the way that it's produced, and this is organic cotton. For cotton to be considered organic, it must be from a plant that is not genetically modified, and it must be produced somewhere that no pesticides are used at the same time during that growing process. Is there any benefit to using organic cotton? Of course, from the environmental side, most definitely, but the actual process of producing the cotton yarn past the point of growing is exactly the same whether the cotton is organic or not organic. So what type of projects can you crochet with cotton yarn? Now, I've already mentioned at the start of this video that pretty much any project can be recreated with cotton yarn. When we consider some of these characteristics with the cotton yarn itself, from the durability through to the strength of the fabric that's being created, we can certainly see that there are many benefits to using cotton. For example, if you're making some amigurumi toys, that durability and the long-lasting nature of this yarn means that those toys can be loved for a long time without looking a little too shabby. Cotton can actually lend itself really well to being used in outside projects. So projects such as, I'm just seeing a jar cozy behind me, maybe some table runners for the inside or outside. The main thing to consider is that with exposed sunlight, cotton will fade. Obviously, if it's dyed, some of that colour will disappear, shall we say, but that's to be expected whatever type of fibre you're using. I have a whole list of different projects that you can crochet using cotton yarn, and I'll link that here for you now so you can discover even more exciting patterns that you can make using cotton yarn. So let's think about some of the other things that cotton fibre or cotton yarn is used for. Of course, we know that it's being made to create some fibre or some yarn for us to make projects with. We must also remember that it's used to create sewing threads and, of course, macrame cord. Macrame cord tends to be a lot thicker than the yarn that we would crochet with. There is also something that's called mercerized cotton. Now that is a completely different finished type of cotton. It has lots of benefits as well. So I'm going to make a separate video specifically about mercerized cotton because it has different properties to it by the way that it's treated. Cotton is most commonly used to make woven fabrics, and they are incredibly hard wearing types of fabrics. We're thinking canvas, damask, denim. All these really super hard wearing fabrics are made with cotton as the base of its fibre. Clothing, of course, wow, I'm sure that all of us have got at least one item that either contains 100% cotton, maybe through to a cotton blend when it's mixed with polyester in our clothing as well. Cotton continues to be a firm favourite when it comes to creating garments and clothing that we wear on a regular basis. Cotton creates such a soft fabric that it has a great drape, and of course it's easy care and easy to wear. If your mind jumped immediately to bed sheets when I said the word Egyptian cotton, it would be quite normal to have that reaction. In fact, Egyptian sheets here are counted by their cotton threads. So the higher the thread count, the higher quality the cotton bed sheets are. Now the majority of us already use cotton or cotton blend bed sheets because it absorbs so much moisture. They are perfect for bed linen. It whisks away any moisture during the night and we can sleep soundly. And this goes for towels too. Again, they wash well, they launder well, and it means that we can look after them and they last a long time. We know that cotton's been used for home decor items all the way back since the late 1600s. And of course that continues today when we think about our curtains or our drapes, cushion covers, rugs. Goodness me, the list is quite literally endless of the ways that cotton is used and continues to be used. So something that I get asked about a lot is how do you care for cotton yarn? And this is a really important question. I've talked previously about how to block some of your items, and cotton is one of the ones that people get a bit wary about blocking their finished projects. And actually they're quite right to. Now, of course, I'm going to state very clearly that you can wash cotton in the washing machine. I would recommend that you use a gentle or a wool cycle so that it doesn't get tumbled around too much, but it is important that you're aware that cotton can shrink when washed. In fact, it shrinks by up to 20%, and that can be both a blessing and a curse. We know that when we're wearing cotton items, sometimes they can stretch out of shape just because, again, due to the nature of the yarn. And actually washing it can reduce that size back to what it started at. And that, as I said, it's a blessing. However, I would recommend that you take time to pin out your project once it's been washed, at least for the first few times. Eventually it will get some stitch memory and hold on to that shape. There are some cottons out there that you can wash and put straight into the tumble dryer. Now, I would do this with a sense of caution. I'm looking at my Pima cotton blend here with this linen, and it is most definitely marked as dry flat. And for me personally, there aren't many handmade projects that I would actually wash in the or dry in the tumble dryer because I want them to last for as long as possible, and that means that I need to be gentle with them when I'm washing them. Now, there are some famous cotton brands out there, especially in America. We do have this yarn here as well. I'm going to mention it particularly because a lot of people find it very rough to work with. So the Sugar and Cream cotton yarn, this is a worsted weight cotton and it's 100% cotton at that. Now it's quite thick to work with anyway, being a worsted weight or an Aran weight in the UK, and a lot of people find that it's very stiff upon finishing their crochet projects. So again, one of those common questions I get is, will my cotton get softer if it's washed? And this does work for sugar and cream yarn as well. 100% your cotton will get softer the more times you wash it. It's actually one of the benefits of washing your cotton projects before you block them. I do insert mine into a garment bag before I put it into the washing machine, so that I know that, again, it's not being mixed up or roughed about too much in the washing machine, and then pin it out, leave to dry, and it will be softer. You can use any wool care or any fabric softener, but always refer to the yarn label if you have it, to double check that you're following the manufacturer's instructions. Now, because of the wonderful properties that cotton fibre has, it's often blended with lots of different materials as well, namely man-made materials. So for example, I have here my Knit Crafts cotton blend. Now this cotton is 50% acrylic and 50% cotton. And that means that we get the benefits of the characteristics of the acrylic, as in that it has more or less elasticity, it's hard wearing, it's easy care, it could be chucked in the washing machine, and we have the durability of the cotton and the softness of the cotton, making or turning into a wonderfully soft yarn to use. Another example that I featured a couple of times on this channel is the Cotlin. So this is a different type of cotton. I don't know how to say it. It's cotton and a 30% linen blend. So it is soft, but in my opinion, it could be softer. But it's incredibly hard wearing. This is perfect for those outdoor tableware that you're wanting to make, maybe some coasters or some plant pot covers that you want to leave outside. This is definitely going to stand the test of time being left outside. I mentioned this one earlier in the video, which is of course the Lindy chain, and this is 70% linen mixed with Pima cotton. So a different fibre content, both contain linen, but this has a higher percentage of linen. So this is an incredibly strong fibre or yarn because of the way that they've created these chains within each strand of yarn. I don't know if you can see, if I get up close enough, there are actually loops within that yarn. This makes that strong Pima cotton even stronger. With the Lindy chain, they've taken that property of being less wrinkly, or the cotton is less wrinkled, and mixed it with that linen, which also wrinkles quite badly, to create a really great fingering weight yarn that can be used on crochet garments. So let me know in the comments what you've used your cotton yarn for before. If you know of a pattern that you want to share with us, please feel free to drop that in the comments as well. And don't forget to head over to the list of the projects that you can make with cotton yarn. I want to thank you for joining me for this video. Do of course give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you can receive notification of the next video in the yarn series, along with all my crochet tutorials and free patterns as soon as they become available. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again very soon.